What if a story everyone thought was over was never really finished? What if silence was not the end, but the beginning of something deeper? And what if two people the world stopped watching quietly found each other again, when no one was looking? Welcome back to Magazine News and Gossip. Today we are not here to accuse. We are not here to confirm. And we are definitely not here to sell empty rumors. Today we are here to read between the lines, to listen to what is not being said, and to understand why Spain suddenly became the silent stage of a meeting that is now raising more questions than answers. Because nobody saw them arrive together. There were no red carpets, no flashing cameras, no official events. Yet, two very familiar names crossed paths far away from the spotlight. And from that moment on, something shifted quietly. So, let me ask you this. Can a real connection ever truly disappear? Or are there stories that never really close no matter how much time passes? Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to Magazine News and Gossip and turn on notifications. Because here we do not chase noise. We tell stories with context, balance, and respect. And if you want to support this channel and help us continue creating thoughtful content where others stay on the surface, you can do so through Buy Coffee. It is completely voluntary, but it allows us to keep digging deeper. Spain has always been a special place for Yaman, not just because of the language, not just because of the loyal audience, but because away from the usual pressure, time seems to move differently there. In recent days, quiet comments began to circulate. No explosive headlines. No stolen photos. No dramatic leaks. Just something more subtle. Overlapping presences. Schedules crossing paths. Silences that lasted a little longer than usual. And this is where Demet Özdemir enters the picture. We are not talking about a public appearance. There were no official sightings. No carefully staged moments. We are talking about a meeting that was never meant to be seen. A quiet coffee far from the center. A place where no one expects to run into two faces known by millions. A conversation without witnesses. Or so they thought. Because the most striking part is not that they met. It is when and why now. For months both of them maintained a very clear stance. Silence, distance, respect. No aggressive denials. No public explanations. No cross statements. Just an invisible line that seemed to say, that chapter belongs to the past. But sometimes the past does not return loudly. Sometimes it walks back slowly. In another country. In another language. At another moment in life. And Spain appears right when both are going through periods of personal redefinition. Nothing is confirmed. Nothing is denied. But nothing feels accidental. If you're still with us, hit the like button now because it helps more than you think. There are 3 details that cannot be ignored. Last-minute schedule changes. Social media posts that seem normal but appear at very specific moments. And a shared silence that speaks louder than any official statement. We are not saying there is a relationship. We are saying there is a connection that may not have fully disappeared. And for fans, that alone is enough to start paying attention again. But what happened after that meeting in Spain is what truly changed the tone of this story. Because that encounter was not the end. It was the moment everything began to feel different. After that day, there were no confirmations, no denials, but there were changes. Small changes, almost invisible. The kind you only notice when you look closely. In the days that followed, Yaman reduced his public presence. Nothing dramatic, nothing headline-worthy, just fewer words, less exposure. Demet, on the other hand, made no statements. But those who have followed her for years know something important. When she goes silent, it is never empty. It is intentional. And here the fandom begins to ask the real question. Is this coincidence or mutual protection? Because it was not just silence. It was synchronization. Separate posts. Almost identical timing. Neutral messages. But with an unexpectedly nostalgic tone. Nothing explicit. Nothing compromising. Yet when two people who once shared so much begin moving at the same rhythm, even from a distance, something activates in the collective memory. And once again, Spain appears as the key setting, not as a romantic escape, but as neutral territory, far from pressure, far from expectations, far from forced headlines. Stay with us, because the most important part is still coming. The relationship between Yaman and Demet Özdemir was never ordinary. It was never built on loud declarations. It never depended on constant exposure. It was a story of looks, of timing that never fully aligned, of paths that separated without completely breaking. Because when something truly matters, it does not always need to be shouted. Sometimes it is protected in silence. That is why a discreet meeting does not cause scandal. It creates questions. Questions that do not demand immediate answers, but emotional understanding. And one question keeps repeating quietly. What if they never completely stop talking? Because there are connections that do not need constant presence to exist. Spain is not a random detail. It is a place where both feel comfortable, where language is not a barrier, where the audience does not invade but accompanies. It is a country where decisions are made for oneself, not for the outside world. Choosing Spain does not mean hiding. It means breathing. And sometimes breathing is the only way to hear what the heart has not fully closed. And sometimes when two people need to breathe at the same time, they find each other. Not to return to the past, but to understand which part of that past is still alive. Not for strategy, not for marketing, but for humanity. If this story is making you feel something, press like right now. Because life does not always give clear answers. Sometimes it only leaves signals. And that discreet meeting in Spain was exactly that. A signal. It was not an announcement. It was not a confirmation. And it was not a definitive closure. It was like rereading a sentence left unfinished long ago. And here is something very important. This was not a public declaration. This was not a media strategy. No one used this story for headlines. And that is exactly why it stands out. Because when something is planned for show, you can feel it. But when something is careful, silent, and discreet, it speaks of something else. Here we do not see spectacle. We see prudence. If this meeting meant nothing, there would not be this level of shared silence. If everything was truly closed, there would not be such unexplained synchronization. And if it really meant nothing, it would not have raised so many questions in such a short time. Sometimes people do not meet again to return. They meet to understand. But understanding does not always mean letting go. The story between Yaman and Demet Özdemir was never simple, never loud, never exaggerated. It was built on glances, on missed timing, on paths that separated without fully breaking. That is why fate crossing them again does not create scandal. It creates contained emotion. If this story is touching something inside, you let us know. Spain does not appear by chance. It is where both can be themselves, where explanations are not required, where noise fades and decisions weigh more. Choosing Spain is not hiding. It is choosing a space where things feel real. And when two people choose for reasons they do not publicly explain, something is happening even if we do not know what. No statements does not mean no feelings. No photos does not mean no conversations. And no confirmation does not mean no history. Sometimes silence is not emptiness. It is protection. Protection of something that still matters. And this story does not complete itself. It completes with what you feel while watching it. Do you think it was just a reunion? Or do you believe some emotions never truly leave? Write your thoughts in the comments. Your opinion matters more than you think. If you enjoy stories told with respect, context, and balance, subscribe to Magazine News and Gossip and turn on notifications. Because here we do not judge, we analyze. And if you want closer support, early access, exclusive stories, and help this channel grow without losing its essence, you can support us through Buy Coffee. It is voluntary, but it makes a real difference. We will see you in the next secret here on Magazine News and Gossip. Because sometimes it is not about going back. It is about checking whether what once hurt still matters. Some stories do not ask to be revived, only to be understood at the right moment. And when two people meet far from the noise, silence says more than any explanation. Maybe this reunion has no name, but it definitely left a mark.